Hi, and welcome. My name is Elena, and we're so happy you've joined Wise Woman and taken this step toward healthy lifestyle changes. As a part of this no-cost program, you will have access to resources, trainings, and community support. This is week 5 of the 6-week Living Well Ahead series with health lessons created by the American Heart Association. This series will help you learn the ins and outs about blood pressure, diabetes, and how to make healthy habits part of your lifestyle. Before we get started, I want to tell you a little bit more about this series and how you can get the most out of it. We encourage you to watch one series video each week. After watching each lesson, take what you've learned and put it into practice for the rest of the week. This will help you build healthy habits into your daily routine. Each lesson takes about 30 minutes to watch. Watch when it's convenient and try to minimize distractions. And when a discussion question is asked, pause the video and take time to think about your answer. Your Wise Woman health coach will follow up with you regularly for support. Now let's get started. Our week 5 lesson is all about getting active. In this lesson, you will learn about all different types of physical activity and how to make physical activity part of your daily routine. The Get Active Health lesson is part of the Empowered to Serve movement, inspired and created by the American Heart Association. During today's health lesson, we will focus on 3 different topic areas: the current guidelines for physical activity, how to identify and address barriers to being physically active, and finally, how to establish a physical activity plan to help you stay on track. Let's talk a little bit more about Empowered to Serve. Empowered to Serve is a movement inspiring those who are passionate about driving change through health justice in their communities. We are catalysts for change, empowering the equity equation. This means that you can be an example for your family, friends, and even your community by learning about blood pressure and diabetes, practicing healthy habits, and sharing what you know with those around you. This Living Well Ahead series is a great way to do just that. The American Heart Association's mission statement is to be a relentless force for a world of longer, healthier lives. To kick us off, we're going to share why physical activity is important. Staying active is one of the best things you can do to prevent heart disease, stroke, and improve your well-being. Heart disease and stroke are the first and second reasons for death, not only in the United States, but worldwide. And even when these conditions don't result in death, they can cause disability and diminish a person's quality of life. That is why it's important to keep our hearts healthy. A healthy heart is less likely to be affected by conditions such as heart disease and stroke. Why physical activity matters. We want to see a world free of cardiovascular diseases and stroke. Did you know that heart disease and stroke can be prevented 80% of the time by making healthy choices? One of the healthy choices that you can make is to get regular physical activity. A person who gets regular physical activity oftentimes is able to lead a longer and healthier life. But the reality is that only 20% of adults get the recommended amount of physical activity. That means that about 80% of adults in the United States could benefit from being more active. Individuals who are inactive are at an increased risk of death from heart attack, stroke, and type 2 diabetes, as well as colon, endometrial, and lung cancer. (30 to 50% of U.S. adults get little to no physical activity, but they could realize valuable benefits by replacing sitting time with a light activity such as walking. Because we now know that most adults are not getting enough physical activity, let's look at how much we should be getting. To meet the recommendation, an adult can do 150 minutes, or about 2.5 hours a week, of moderate intensity aerobic activity, or 75 minutes, which is an hour and 25 minutes, a week of vigorous physical activity, or by doing a combination of both and preferably spread throughout the week. It is also recommended that strength training activities be incorporated at least 2 days a week. By meeting the recommendation for physical activity, you can decrease your risk for heart attack and stroke and your likelihood of being overweight. Kids and children have different physical activity recommendations than adults. Children 3 to 5 should be physically active and have plenty of opportunities to move throughout the day. Kids 6 to 17 years old should get at least 60 minutes per day of moderate to vigorous intensity physical activity, mostly aerobic. Being physically active has many health benefits, no matter what age you are. It is especially important to help kids develop and grow into healthy adults by teaching them habits in their youth that they can maintain as they age. It can be hard to get kids to put down their electronic devices and do something active, but with a little effort, we can help them learn healthy habits now and find activities that they'll love for a lifetime. The recommendations that we talked about can seem a little intimidating if it's the first time you're hearing them. So let's break it down, the recommendations, a little so that we can find a way to make them achievable for you. The goal when it comes to being physically active is to move more and sit less. Adults should try to move throughout their day and remember that any physical activity is better than none at all. So if you only have 10 minutes to go for a walk, do it. And know that you made a choice that's gained you some health benefits. There are benefits to any physical activity. Reducing sedentary time lowers risks for developing chronic diseases. If you're not getting any activity, start with light activities such as walking. Even if light intensity activities are better than sitting. Add small bursts of activity. Stand up for phone calls. Get up to stretch and take a short walk every hour or so. Or try a standing desk or workstation. Do you think that walking is an activity that you could add to your daily schedule? As I mentioned earlier, physical activity is important for kids too. Inactive kids are likely to be inactive adults. Physical activity produces overall physical, psychological, and social benefits. Activity may be particularly helpful for the physical and psychological well-being of children with a weight problem. All children, even less coordinated ones, need to be physically active. If a full hour of activity is not doable, aim for at least 2 30-minute periods or 4 15-minute periods of vigorous physical activities daily. You've heard me mention different types of activity. I've mentioned light activity, moderate activity, and vigorous activity. We're going to look at examples of the different types. Let's start with moderate activity. Here are some examples: brisk walking, doing water aerobics, biking, playing doubles tennis, doing yoga, ballroom dancing, and gardening are all forms of moderate activity. Now let's look at different examples of vigorous activity. If you're interested in vigorous physical activity, you could try race walking, jogging, or running, swimming laps, playing singles tennis, aerobic dancing, biking at a faster pace, jumping rope, heavy gardening like continuous digging or hoeing, or hiking uphill or with a heavy backpack. All of these are vigorous physical activities. I've mentioned a few benefits from getting regular physical activity. However, there are many different benefits. Physical activity helps with weight control, blood pressure reduction, increase HDL, the good cholesterol, decrease risk of diabetes and some kinds of cancer, improve psychological well-being, including building more self-confidence and higher self-esteem, strengthened immune system, and prolonged good health. Remember that just by standing instead of sitting, your body is benefiting from moving. Look for opportunities to stand during the day. For example, if you're reading at work or watching the news at home, instead of sitting, stand up, or even better, walk around or march in place. In addition to all of the above, physical activity helps keep your mind sharp both now and later. Studies show that higher fitness levels are linked to better attention, learning, memory, and problem-solving ability. Now that you know the guidelines, benefits, and some examples of the different types of activity, let's talk about the second focus area of today's lesson and review common barriers people encounter when it comes to being physically active. Here you see examples of two very common barriers to physical activity. The first common barrier is, I don't have enough time. If this is a barrier for you, try to monitor your activities for a week and identify some times open for physical activity. Select activities that fit into your routine, such as walking in your neighborhood, climbing stairs, parking farther away from your destination, or exercising while you watch TV. The second example of a common barrier is, I don't have anyone to exercise with. If your friends and family don't share your interest in physical activity, try explaining your fitness and health goals to them and ask for their support. Invite others to participate in physical activity with you. If it's an option, join a gym or a walking or running group for social support. There are many different barriers to physical activity. However, there are also many ways that you can overcome those barriers. Let's review a few more common barriers and then review how you can work to minimize that barrier. If you experience a lack of motivation and/or energy, plan ahead. Schedule physical activity for specific times and days and check it off your list or calendar each time you complete it. Determine what time of day you're most energetic and schedule activity at that time. Or join an exercise group or class and interact with others in the group as motivation to attend and to keep yourself accountable. Pack your workout clothes the night before and take them to work with you as a reminder. Another common barrier is lack of equipment. If you lack resources or equipment, select activities that don't require gym equipment or a membership, such as walking, jogging, jumping rope, or calisthenics. Identify inexpensive, convenient resources in your community, such as parks and recreation programs, walking clubs, etc. Or use soup cans or 1-gallon milk containers filled with water as weights. Another barrier is if you have caregiving obligations, try exercising with your kids. Go for a walk together, play tag or other running games. You can spend time together while making sure they're getting the daily exercise activity that they need to stay healthy. If there's an exercise class you like to attend, try alternating babysitting time with a neighbor. You've made the decision to start being more physically active. That is so exciting, and I know you can do it. Here are a few next steps to help you create a physical activity plan that is best for you. It's always a good idea to talk to your doctor before starting an exercise program. Here are the 5 steps to follow to get started. Step 1, get a baseline health screening from your healthcare provider if you have questions, concerns, or a chronic condition. Step 2, identify and address your obstacles. Be honest with yourself. What's stopping you? Is it time, energy, or other responsibilities? How can you overcome what's stopping you? If you need to, rewind this message and review the strategies we talked about during the last 2 slides to make a plan. Step 3, assess yourself. Your starting point and choice of physical activity are based on what you can do. Ask yourself questions like, how fit are you? Can you walk at a brisk pace for 20 minutes or for 30 minutes? Can you walk a mile? How long does it take you? Can you bend down and touch your toes? What aerobic, muscle building, flexibility, and body composition activities do you enjoy? Asking these questions will help you pick the best activity for you that you will stick with and enjoy. Step 4, take time to set your goals and be sure to write them down. And step 5, consider keeping an activity log. And a few more additional tips that can help you stick with your activity plan: find a buddy or two, or ask family and friends to join you, since you'll be more likely to stick with it if you have company to hold you accountable for showing up. Or join a walking group or other physical activity group, health club, or the YMCA. Churches and senior centers often offer physical activity programs on site, free of charge. Check online for your local resources. Exercise with music. Many people say listening to music during exercise can enhance endurance and help you keep up your pace and delay fatigue. When creating your exercise plan, consider the following activities. 10 minutes of stretching is like walking the length of a football field. 2.5 hours of walking every week for a year is like walking across the state of Wyoming. 30 minutes of singles tennis is like walking a 5K. 20 minutes of vacuuming is like walking 1 mile. And my favorite, 1 hour of dancing every week for a year is like walking from Chicago to Indianapolis. 30 minutes of grocery shopping every other week for a year is like walking a marathon. So great, you're going to move more with more intensity and sit less. Once your body gets used to exercise, slowly increase duration and/or the intensity. You will want to set clear goals to motivate yourself. Goals can help when you're not in the mood to get moving. Keep those posted where you can see them. Adults who set their own goals and write them down are more likely to stick with them. Here are a few tips on setting realistic goals. Build up to at least 150 minutes of moderate activity or 75 minutes of vigorous activity or a combination each week, or do whatever your doctor recommends. Include chances to be more active during the day. Walk around the mall before shopping. Take the stairs instead of the escalator, or take 10 to 15-minute walk breaks while watching TV or reading. Plan on a convenient time and place to do activities, like on your way home from work. Be active at the same time of day and make it a regular part of your activity. I like to exercise first thing in the morning to make sure I don't skip it later. Okay, be sure to add up the time that you spend active. Did you know that you get the same benefits if you divide your time into 2 or 3 10 to 15-minute segments a day? Knowing this can help on days when your schedule is extra busy. What other strategies can you think of that would help you be active for 10 to 15 minutes at a time? Can you arrive early and walk for 10 to 15 minutes before a meeting? Remember, you can also exercise at home. Household chores count too. You are exercising when you clean the house, when you rake leaves, prune trees, and work in the garden, when you walk or bike to the corner store, or when you're washing the car. Time spent doing these activities can be added to your activity log. So thank you for joining today. Remember that your voice matters, and please share the information you learned today with your family and friends. Encourage your family and friends to listen to the Living Well Ahead Health Series health lessons with you. If you would like to provide the American Heart Association with any feedback about the Get Active Health lesson, you can send an email to empoweredtoserve@heart.org. We appreciate your thoughts. Be sure to check out these resources to support you on your journey. Visit wellaheadla.com/wisewoman for links to all available resources. Visit the Well Ahead Community Resource Guide at www.wellaheadla.com/CRG to search for support services near you. And join the Wise Woman Facebook group to receive tips and encouragement from others taking this journey with you. You can use this QR code to join the group today. Thank you. Great job. We are so proud of you for completing week 5 of the Living Well Ahead series. Over the next week, pick 1 or 2 things that you think you can do consistently and put them into practice. Remember, small changes over time make a big difference. We will see you next week for the final week, week 6, of the Living Well Ahead series called Know Diabetes by Heart. During this lesson, we will discuss what diabetes is, its link to heart disease and stroke, and how to reduce your risk of developing type 2 diabetes. See you next week.